What it really started as was just a bunch of guys who loved music and wanted to play music. And it was really just in the basement, and it was a den of iniquity and lots of alcohol, lots of drugs, lots of jamming. And then eventually it was, I think some of these songs are actually pretty good. Should we leave the basement?
Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If the two of you would be so kind, would you mind introducing yourselves?
I'm Sam from Yeti On Horseback.
And I'm Ryan from Yeti On Horseback.
And gentlemen, how would you describe the music of Yeti on Horseback?
Unrelenting, crushing gloom.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I always just explain it as heavy music because if you say anything else, it confuses people.
Right. I talked about this with someone who, a different band, who had an explanation for people who are very familiar with heavy music, and people who are like more normies who may not know bands like Eob or Neurosis or Electric Wizard or anything like that. When you say unrelenting gloom, would you say that the pace of your music is mostly slow?
Very slow, a lot of build and drawn out themes of misery and doom, essentially.
Yeah, that we're definitely slow. That's our mantra. We tune low and we play slow. And yeah, it's slow on purpose. It's the kind of music that I always gravitated towards when I was younger. And, I didn't realize you could play that way. And I just find that you can really feel your emotions when given the time.
Can you guys tell me a little bit about how Yeti on Horseback came together and what your intentions were, what your goals were when you first started?
Well, we first started years ago, and Sam wasn't a part of that. He came on for this album, and we're very happy that he did. What it really started as was just a bunch of guys who loved music and wanted to play music. And it was really just in the basement, and it was a den of iniquity and lots of alcohol, lots of drugs, lots of jamming. And then eventually it was, I think some of these songs are actually pretty good. Should we leave the basement?
And once you left the basement, what did you guys discover? Had you guys already recorded that first song, Psycho?
No, we had literally done nothing. Just noobs, just fans of music, been to tons of concerts, owned a lot of physical media, just obsessed with rock and roll from a young age. So nothing recorded and just kind of hopped right in. And quite honestly, after our first show, it just started to snowball. And, it was a new, fresh thing in our hometown, I believe. And people wanted to see it again and again and again. And then, someone gets a hold of you and says, hey, we should record this. And it's like, really? Okay, well, let's try that too. And it's just been building ever since.
Ryan, why Doom?
Why Doom?
Why Doom? Why the slow, unrelenting music?
To be honest, it was probably just one of the first things I could play. But also, I think the reason I picked up a guitar would be Yob. That was the band that I loved in that genre. I came from so many different genres when I was a kid, classic rock, heavy metal, hip hop, whatever it was. And then eventually you find your way to bands like Yob and Sleep and High on Fire. And I didn't even know those bands existed until, I followed the Queens of the Stone Age path and I ended up here. But also I believe it fits my character.
Sam, were you familiar with the guys when they first started playing?
I got there a few years after the inception. I remember stumbling my way into one of their shows and being absolutely blown away by this band with a silly name. And, I say silly name now because we still kind of get that, but I think it really fits visually of what the band is. We have a great sense of humor, but the visual representation of the name is something just storming and crushing. And seeing them play and grow over the years has been an amazing experience. And then to be asked to join the band has been an honor. And, it's not normally the style of music I would play. We kind of joke about that amongst ourselves. Like, what are you doing here with us slowpokes, but it's been so much fun. This is definitely the most fun and original band that I've been a part of.
Sam, what was your musical background before Yeti on Horseback?
Classical, metal, Primus, death metal, prog metal, acoustic, instrumental.
Okay. So you do come from a heavy music background, just not necessarily doom metal or sludge metal or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But I mean, I appreciate everything from jazz to hip hop to doom.
Sure. Since Sam mentioned it, let's talk about the name Yeti on Horseback. Ryan, where did the name come from?
The name came from years of changing the name down in the basement. Me and particularly the bass player that was on the first album, who's now no longer with us. He's still alive. He's just not in the band. He didn't like it, but we tried this, we tried that, and eventually I just said, you know what? This is what we're going to call it. Like we're about to play a show next week. It's kind of like the whole Jethro Tull thing. Let's just do it.
Back in college when I was in a band and we used to play shows, we were playing with our friend's band who couldn't agree on a band name, like up to the point where the flyers were supposed to go out. And so I just wrote Keen on Jesus. and that's what they were known for the first album, the first show that they played, and they were not pleased. But the flyers had to go out and had to do the promotion.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the most annoying like discussion or argument a band can have is what are we going to call ourselves, right?
Well, certainly, and
it wasn't on Metal Archives before.
That's true. There's no two bands who are going to accidentally choose the name Yeti on Horseback.
Yeah, exactly. And that was another thing that as soon as I thought of it like that, I was like, okay. And I like it. I don't know, maybe I didn't find the humor. I just thought I was just like, wow, yeah, that's heavy. Let's go.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. Can you guys tell me a little bit about how you write songs? Does everything start with the riffs?
Yeah.
Yeah. They mostly do. Like I said before, when we're in the basement, it was just me playing guitar, and those would be the riffs that I came up with. And then my good buddy, who was the bass player, he was just a really good bass player, and he just loved to play in those roots. And then eventually we got our second guitar player, and he loved what I was doing, so he just wanted to be part of it, and he wrote to me, and it's kind of still how we do it. Our other guitar player's now written a song, and our new bass player, he likes to write riffs all the time too. So two of the songs on this new album, he was a big part of.
Do you guys arrange songs in the basement together?
I think it's just a few couple riff structures, and I don't like this. Let's do this here. How about we do this? And it's ever changing and always growing. We kind of jam. A lot of the bands that I liked when I was younger, they jammed. King Crimson, to name one of them. A little bit of improv, and then we'll listen back to our recording and go, "Wow, that little part at minute 7, that's a cool riff. Let's try and bite into that."
Do you guys use a DAW or anything like that to aid in your songwriting? Do you trade files back and forth?
Just a Zoom.
Okay.
Like we room record, drummer cuts it up, and we kind of listen through for said gold, and kind of build from there. But it's a very natural thing. We don't kind of sit down and try to tab it out or anything. It's whatever comes out on the jam floor.
So before we speak about this latest album, Sam, you're providing vocals, but Ryan, you're also doing vocals, right? You're doing like a two vocal kind of thing, kind of like Neurosis.
Yeah.
I did vocals for everything until this album, and I always wanted someone else to sing with me. And that's why I asked Sam, because I had seen him in other bands that he's in, and he's an amazing vocalist. I think I initially asked him if he knew anybody because I didn't think he'd want anything to do with us. And he goes, "Well, how about me?" And here we are. But yeah, I sing too, but I've kind of given up a lot of the reins. But I'm still going to be there, and I've always loved bands that have two singers, three singers. I love Neurosis, Mastodon, all sorts of bands like that. So
Yeah. Do you guys layer your vocals or do you guys take turns? Is there like a call and response kind of thing?
It's a bit of both. We found a really good balance and mix with layers on a couple of the tracks, particularly Erotic Goth Dad. And yeah, when we find it, like the new stuff when we're together, the low and the highs together, it's punishing.
Who's handling the low and who's handling the high?
I kind of do low and more of like a blackened high. And Ryan, like I don't know how to describe your vocals other than Mel Blanc.
yeah, no, it's just I'm just screaming the way that I would if I was sad or mad or yeah. And we should say that Sean too, our bass player, he's now contributing vocals, and I wouldn't be surprised if on the next album, Matt, our other guitar player, is contributing vocals. Like honestly, the more vocals you can have, I find it's just more interesting to listen to. It just sounds like a madhouse in there.
At what point in the songwriting and the arranging process do the vocals come in? Do you guys do like temp vocals or what some people call gibberish vocals while you're jamming, or do you wait until the song is finished before you start doing the lyrics and the vocals?
Yeah, I like to kind of free flow. Like gibberish vocals is a great term to put it. Like kind of finding the syllables and the emphasis on, like enunciation that works. But definitely we approach a theme post song or during the songwriting, and you kind of we kind of build and work on that. But I think there were a few moments in the last album where I think two of the songs were like we threw them down in the studio.
As you were recording the album.
Yeah,
Wow.
like we had the lyrics there, and then it was just, all right, that line doesn't work. This line works great. All right, now we double it, and kind of building it there. It was, yeah, just one of those things where you're under the pressure in the studio that those creative juices kind of are forced and flow.
And also with Sam being the new vocalist, he kind of came in to say a song that was already half skeletoned and like say erotic goth dad. And I said, well, this is the name of the song and this is what I'm singing, which is, he's like, okay, well, what's it about? And I said, well, this is what I think it's about. And then he goes and his brain starts rolling, and you get this thing that I screamed once in the jam room, erotic goth dad touch me. And then you got Sam coming in and going, rapist, caretaker, angel maker. Like it's a beautiful thing to see it build like that and not be something you wrote down on paper 15 years ago and you're scrambling for lyrics.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's an interesting approach to doing the lyrics. It's almost like Exquisite Corpse or something like that, where the two sides connect, but they're not necessarily how to put this. It's not necessarily planned for one to go into the other. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah. So the second Yeti on Horseback album, called Traditional Addictions, was self-released the week before our conversation. We spoke a little bit how about some of the changes and how some of these songs came together. Was there any specific intention to the album? Did you want to build on anything you had done in the past or try anything new?
I certainly wanted to up the ante and get better at our craft and follow up. It took a while, unfortunately, but I know that our last album was received pretty well for a couple of guys who just came out of the basement. So, I wanted to up the professionalism, and putting it on vinyl is also a lifelong dream.
Yeah. There was a long gestation period for the writing and recording of this album. Can you tell me about that? And can you tell me a little bit about working with Greg Dawson on the album?
Yep. Shortly before our record release for The Great Dying, our drummer informed us that he had to go be a career man. And so we kind of scrambled to find a drummer, and we found one, and he's the one who's with us now, and we love him. And then once we had done this little mini tour to support that album, my old friend and bass player, he was having a child, so he thought maybe it was going to get a little too hectic for him. So that's when we went and got the bass player that's with us now. So there's all that. Everybody's learning to play together. And there's also a pandemic. There's also a bit of, just getting older and having more responsibilities, a little bit of addiction stuff. Like everybody's drinking, smoking, straight West Coasting. So that gets in the way. And yeah, it took a while, and I don't think that's going to happen again next time.
Okay. And so in terms of the time it took to record the album, it wasn't intentional. It was just you guys were working around other issues.
Yeah, other issues and logistics. And, I chose Greg after playing a show with his band, Old, and just kind of, I was like, I just Googled him and I had realized that, he had done some pretty cool stuff and he was working with a lot of heavy bands here in South Southern Ontario or Ontario in general. And he's just kind of the cream of the crop, and he's not too far away. And so we had to drive up there once and drive up there twice, three times, four times, and we wanted it to be perfect, which is you can never get that. But and then we invited a new vocalist, so there was that too. But everything happened for a reason, and it's as close to perfect as I would like it to be, and I can't wait to do it again, and probably with Greg again.
Sam, do you want to say anything about working with Greg?
Having just joined the band, I don't know, I think it was 7 or 8 months in, you're like, yeah, we got to go record now. And that happened. And it was a bit daunting going up there, but I was very excited. And within the first hour, I knew that this guy was going to get the best out of myself and anyone in there. He just was naturally comfortable, but knew how to push you to get your best output. And that's just what you want. You want to work with that. And looking back, it was incredible. I would love to work with him again. The guy's a G.
I spoke with the band Gut Void, a Canadian death metal band. I'm not
They're
sure.
awesome.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
I'm not sure where they are in relation to where you guys are, but they worked with Greg recently. How would you describe Greg's approach as an engineer? Is he very technical? Is he more of like a holistic, like capture the vibe kind of guy?
I think a little column A, column B. Like he's practiced in what he knows he wants to do and what he wants in his environment. But he's open to exploration, and he kind of feels the bands out and really captures naturally what they're bringing. There's no kind of smoke and mirrors there. It's just you're getting the heaviest product, and he knows how to do that.
Yeah, he was the right guy. I don't know how that ever happens. You choose the right guy, the right path, and sometimes you get lucky. And I feel like that we've had a bit of that around this band this whole time. But yeah, just he's older than I am, so he's old. He knows what he's doing. He's been doing it for longer than some people have been out of school, or you know what I mean. He knows what he's doing. He captures the vibe. He works with you. He's a cool guy, and he helps you in all aspects of life. You can talk to him about anything. He's kind of like a therapist and a producer. It's kind of a beautiful thing.
Guru Greg.
Guru, yeah.
You talked about perfection. Is Guru Greg a stickler for performance? Does he make you do multiple takes?
He does. And he goes, tune that, tune it again, tune it. Why are you bending it? Stop bending it. Because I am such a punk rock guy just coming out of the basement. I learned these little studio things, and he wants it to sound the way it should. And it was cool. We also asked him, to play a solo on our album, and he was part of the gang vocals. He was having a great time. Like we are now, I'd call him a friend.
So we talked about the way you guys do the vocals live, but in the studio, were you guys layering the vocals? Were you doing multiple tracks of each vocal?
Me personally, I did 2 to 4 takes per line, depending on layers. I'm not sure how Greg did that, but a lot of it, like listening back, oh, that's doubled, and in a natural way to like stereo it, and that was kind of like really cool and fun to do, but also like on the 10th hour of the day of doing vocals, you're like, fuck, man, do we really have to double this?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
But no, it was really fun. There's a lot of like, all right, let's see how this sounds low and high together. And then I honestly didn't know, other than what was already laid down at the time I did vocals, what Ryan and Sean were going to put on it. I think Sean's were already down actually, but yeah, Ryan had a full couple days of vocals after I had come and gone. So it was, get as many as I can, and it's time to go home, and that's it,
Did Greg handle everything until the master? Did he mix and master the album as well?
Yeah.
He did. He did it all.
What did you want Greg to bring to the finished album? What did you want the finished sound to be?
I personally wanted it to be, I wanted it to sound like we do live, but obviously, without its imperfections that live brings. And he did that. We tracked the drums a certain way that was new to us, but which I thought was cool. The way we did guitars, he's got a lot of gear, and he's like, I'm thinking maybe we'll use this through this and that through that. And we did change that for, say, the other guitar player. And then he goes, here, plug in your rig and let's hear yours. So I strummed it for him, and he goes, I don't want to touch that. And I was like, whoa, really? He didn't want to touch my tone at all. So things like that he brought to the table. He hears it the way he wants to hear it, and we kind of align.
I don't have near as much experience with the recording process as Ryan does, but coming in when I did and hearing the final product was quite a visceral experience of, going there to record it, hearing kind of the bare bones of it. Kind of produced a bit, like he had a bit of stuff on it, but then getting it back, it was like, holy shit, this is something cool. Like he really put the magic on it.
Yeah, the production is great. It's super heavy, but it's also not, like too fuzzed out or too blown out, which sometimes sludge and doom albums get. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's very like, it's natural. It's not over polished. It's kind of the quintessential balance of like heavy and just crisp recording.
So the album is already out. Do you guys have plans for one-off live dates or maybe even tours or anything like that? Festivals, anything?
Well, we played a few shows already. We just played our record release on Friday, which was like a multimedia abomination where we showed our music video for track one, which is a 26-minute long music video. And then we dropped the needle down on track 2 and 3. And as that was happening, the band snuck over to a brewery, and then you would come over after the vinyl was done, and you watched us play Erotic Goth Dad live. And so that was awesome. We got to play with Napalm Death this year.
That's awesome.
That was awesome. And Primitive Man as well was there. So that was a match made in heaven. That really showed me that we can hang, and I'd like to do it again. And yeah, we're just going to keep on following our footsteps and see where they lead us. And we're definitely playing shows. And one day I'd love to come over the pond or, go anywhere, Turkey, Croatia, wherever they want us. I'd love to go there.
Yeah, we got a couple with Capiteur from Montreal coming up. And the rest of the year is TBA.
Okay. I think the Capitor show is in August, right?
Yep. So there's one in London, and I think there's one the day after that's not announced yet.
Okay. So Traditional Addictions is out now. Sam and Ryan, please tell everyone how they can get the new album. What's the best way to get it?
Definitely Bandcamp, Yeti On Horseback Bandcamp. If you want to stream it, all the streaming platforms. If you want to steal it, sure, cool.
Just listen to it. Just listen to it. Come get it. Come to my house.
If you want t-shirts and merch, message us. We can figure that out. We don't officially have a store, but if you're ordering a record, we could probably figure something out.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Ryan, you mentioned the vinyl. Do you want to tell the record collectors listening to this anything else about the vinyl?
Well, it's a double vinyl, which is pretty cool because we do have some long songs, 180 gram, 45 RPM. So it is for the audiophiles out there. Yeah, it's just a great sounding record. It's a shame we're on it. And it's beautiful. The art is beautiful. The cover, the back cover, the inside, the insert, the stickers. It's just I'm proud of us. We did a damn good job for DIY, self-release. Yeah, come and get it. Listen to it. Everyone seems to be loving it.
Sam, you mentioned the merch, the t-shirts and stuff. Is all of that going through the Bandcamp page?
So far, we just have the record up for order on the Bandcamp. We got
the shirts are up there too.
Are they up there?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. This is how much I know as a vocalist.
Yeah, he just said. We'll get you what you need if you want it.
Yeah, we've got really silly shirts with Tim Allen on them.
Not Harry and the Hendersons?
No.
We do have Jeff. Jeff will be making his way onto a t-shirt someday.
Yeah.
And as far as the shows that you guys have in the works, what's the best way to get updates on those and follow the band online?
Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram is where bands have gone now. Facebook screwed that up. But yeah, Instagram is where you want to go. You can message us on there. We frequently post. We got lots of funny stuff, serious stuff, scary stuff. It's fun. You know, everybody's on their phone. You need something to look at, you might as well come look at us.
Yeah, it's abominable content.
Guys, I really enjoyed speaking with you. Is there anything else you want the listeners to know about the album or anything else?
I would say if you like this one, you probably like the last one, and you're going to like the next one. And it's going to come sooner than, I'm not going to go a decade in between. I don't know if I have that much time left on Earth.
Me neither.
Sam, closing thoughts?
Just thanks for having us, Adrian. It's great talking to you, and stay cold.
So Ryan's wearing a Sons of Otis shirt. Shout out to those guys who were on the podcast years and years ago.
Hell yeah.
And I think they have some reissues coming out soon, right?
They do. That's a big deal too. Yeah, we've played with Sons of Otis 3 times, and that was, for me, like, that was one of the bands I got into after I started getting into heavy stuff. They were maybe one of the first ones because it was a little easier to get into, like a bluesy doomy than it was, you know, a Neurosis or something. So, and from them being from Canada and from Toronto, we would hear about them, and yeah, I love them. And then getting to share the stage with them was an honor.
Those guys smoke the most weed ever.
That's a good place to leave off before we get cut off. Thanks, guys.
All right, brother.
Cheers, man.